All right, well, let's get a few more questions before this watch-along from the Carolinas. This next one was sent to CornyDriveThru.
From North Carolina!
All right, Dr. Tom Miller. This next one was sent to CornyDriveThru at gmail.com from Dalton Hastings.
Oh, that's a gimmick name if ever I've heard one.
Hey, guys, been enjoying the shows. Just wanted to ask Jim what he remembers from the 2 Yokozuna Undertaker casket matches from 1994. One was at the Royal Rumble, and the other at the Survivor Series. I know Jim wasn't in the office at the time. He was running Smoky Mountain Wrestling. But I figured I would ask, does Jim remember who was the guy dressed as the Undertaker as he was levitating at the Royal Rumble? Also, whose idea was it to bring Chuck Norris into the World Wrestling Federation for Survivor Series?
Oh, goddamn. Well, first off, I said a few minutes ago, loved the entrance and being in the ring for that. And Taker and Yoko's matches were always good because Yoko would bump and could take big bumps if there was somebody in there that was big enough to give them to him. And Taker was he was more mobile than any of Yoko's other giant opponents, think John Tenta. So he could still do some good. You could have a really exciting action-packed match, but he was still big enough to make Yoko sell. Loved most all of their matches. I've told this story many times. Hated the fucking finish and where he was levitated to heaven on the screen and everything. Not only because it was somewhat hokey with, I can't remember who it was. That, somebody close in size, I don't even remember if it was one of the boys that was levitated up after he was thrown in the casket. I thought that was a little far-fetched at that point for the realism in the wrestling business. And also, I hated the finish just as a finish because it didn't get any good heat on any of the heels. Because you'll remember that's where every heel on the roster hit the ring and helped Yoko beat shit out of the Undertaker and put him in the casket. No babyface ever came to help. It was done right in front of the referee because with a casket match, there's no rules, blah, blah, blah. But I hated that finish because nobody came to help. It was just done in front of the referee. It was just blatant bleh. And it was because Taker was taking time off. No, that's say that 3 times fast, but he was taking time off. It may have been an injury. May have been nagging injuries, and they wanted to send him to, the great beyond for a while so he could make a big comeback. That's great. I just didn't like the way that it was done, and that's why I've told a story. I was standing next to the ring post hoping that nobody in Smoky Mountain in that territory would see it, because I'm like, oh, fuck, this guy's going to levitate to the fucking ceiling. All of their other matches were great. I even liked the casket match as a gimmick for Undertaker. That makes sense. And you could even do, as I've mentioned before here recently, Yokozuna being afraid of a casket. Because we actually did a shoot here in OVW with Leviathan, Batista, at a funeral home, a real funeral home, where we'd open the coffin and he'd sit up. I think it was building up for him and the Undertaker. And he was fucking scared of getting in it at the funeral home. For real. So, it was just that one particular Survivor Series casket match I was not a fan of. Otherwise, I've always enjoyed working with Taker, and the checks were wonderful.
Who floated to the ceiling?
Well, that's why I said I can't remember who the fuck it was. I don't think it was one of the boys necessarily. I think it was just somebody dressed as Undertaker. Because, it didn't need to be a personality because you didn't know who it was going to be anyway.
What about Chuck Norris?
Oh, Chuck Norris. Good Lord. That was good. Walker, Texas Ranger was on USA at the time, right? The USA Network. And it was just another celebrity crossover thing, except, remember, Jeff Jarrett had to take the sidekick. Somewhere or another, they wanted just Chuck Norris to be physical in some brief capacity. And since he's an ex-karate guy, I don't know whether his blue jeans were too tight or whether he hadn't warmed up or loosened up or whether he was older at that point, but he threw a fucking sidekick at Jeff Jarrett that if Jeff crouched down so it would catch him in the upper thigh, he barely got his fucking foot 2.5 feet off the ground and Jeff took a big bump. That's pretty much it was a crossover with USA Network.
Were they good friends the whole time, Undertaker and Yokozuna, or did they become good friends during the feud?
No, I think so. Well, because I came in after, Taker had been there and Yoko had been there for a little while, but they were already fine friends by the time I got there. I think, it didn't take working with each other. And also because Yoko was a member of the family and he's being managed from the start by Fuji. So, it wasn't like they had to find common ground and come together and be friends on purpose.
You think last night on Survivor Series, when they had that tribute to The Undertaker with all the various people from BSK and all various friends of his, you think Brian Lee was sitting at home saying, "What have I done? What have I done?"
God damn it. He's thinking, God damn it. Yeah, that bridge got blown up a while back.